Hey guys, we'll make this one pretty quick. This sort of just kind of wraps up all the different conversions we've been working on. We did fraction to percent earlier, changing a fraction to a percent, take the fraction, make it equal to something over 100, and then divide. Or you can just simply divide the numerator by the denominator. We've also done percent to decimal, so we take the percent, we put it over 100, divide by 100, and you end up with your decimal answer. And so the last part here is decimal fraction. It's pretty simple, pretty quick. So I just want to kind of show you how to do that real quick, and then we're going to go from there. So let's take a look. In order to do this, in order to write the decimal as a fraction, you really have to think about place value. We're only going to worry about the 3 places after the decimal. I won't make you guys go too far after the decimal place. So always look for the decimal and then look to the right. Tenths is your first place value after the decimal. Then hundredths is your second place, and thousandths is your third place. So the reason I point that out is because if you know how to properly read a decimal, meaning read it out loud, say it in words, it makes this thing so easy. So let's check this out. I'll show you a couple examples of what I mean by that. So if I have a decimal, it looks like this. Let's say 2.4. All right, if I wanted to read that out loud, I would say 2, use the word and for a decimal, and then I would say, okay, this number right here is a 4, and it's in the tenths place. So I would say 2 and 4 tenths. And that's how I'd read that decimal out loud. Now, if I saw a decimal that was like, let's say 0.36, if I was going to read that out loud using words, I've got 2 places here, so I'd say 0, write the word instead of the number. I'd say 0 and, using the word and for the decimal, and now I've got 36 there, so I'm going to read it off as not 0.36, but 36. So I'd write 36, and I would call those hundredths. Ran out of room there. Hundredths. Okay? And so I would just read that 0 and 36 hundredths, not 0.36, but 0 and 36 hundredths. And then the last part here would be if I have a decimal that goes 3 places. So let's say 1.402. Okay, so I wouldn't read it as 1.402. That's not good math vocabulary. I would write it as 1, use the word and again for the decimal. And now there's 3 digits there. So I'm going to read those all as one number. So I don't read it as 402 or 402. I read it as 402. So and 402 thousandths. Oops. Now, I go over this part because I'm not going to make you write these out in words, but I want you to be able to say these decimals out loud in your head because it's going to make it so much easier to do this. Here's what I'm talking about. All right, if I was going to write the decimal 0.25 as a fraction, let's think about this for a second. 0.25. If I was going to write that or say that, let's just think about saying it correctly. 0.25, I would write it as actually 0 and again, there's this part right here. I'm going to write that as all one number. So instead of, like we say 0.25, it's 0 and 25 hundredths. Why is it hundredths? Because it's the second place. The last part of the decimal is in the hundredths place. Now, here's why I say this. Because in order to write this as a fraction, I'm going to write it exactly like what I see right here. I see 25 hundredths. So I'm going to put 25 as my numerator, and I'm going to put, it says it's in the hundredths place, so I'm going to write the number 100 underneath. And 25 hundredths, 25 over 100 is the same as 25 hundredths. It's the exact same as 0.25. And think about it. If you think about money, 25 cents. 0.25 is how to write 25 cents. 25 cents is 25 cents out of 100 cents, 25 out of a full dollar. So 25 out of 100, like we wrote in the fraction, is the exact same as 25 cents. Now, the only other thing we have to do after this is simplify. Now, here's where you're going to want to take a look at what you can simplify by and use some divisibility rules. I see they're both divisible by 5. because one ends in a 5 and one's in a 0. So I can divide by 5. And 25 divided by 5 is 5. 100 divided by 5 is 20. Again, I have a number that ends in 5 and ends in a 0, so I know I can divide by 5 again. Divide by 5 again. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 20 divided by 5 is 4. Now, again, I know that this is the right answer because if I think about it, again, 0.25 is 25 cents. How much is 1/4 of a dollar? Well, it's 1/4, right? 1 out of 4 quarters makes 25 cents. So I know that that's right. But it's as simple as just reading the decimal in your head and thinking about what the denominator should be, and then writing it out. Now, not all of them are going to be that simple. There are some that are going to look like this. All right, so write 2.3 as a fraction. 2.3, if I'm just going to read it correctly with mathematical terms, I would say 2 and, using and for the decimal place, 3/10. 2 3/10. All right, so I take 2 3/10, and I read that out loud, and I say, okay, 2 3/10. Well, tenths can mean 10, and I'm going to put 3 above it because there's 3 of them, 3/10. And the best part about this one is if you look, 3 is a prime number, so therefore it's only divisible by 1 and 3. And 10 is only divisible by 2 and 5, not 3. So, well, and also 1 and 10. So therefore, this is in simplest form. 2.3 is 3/10. But wait a second, though. You can't forget that there's a whole number attached. So to write this correctly, it would be 2 and 3/10. And there you have your mixed number. 2.3 could be written as 2 and 3/10. 2 3/10. Don't forget about the whole number. The third one that might be a little bit confusing is when you see 3 digits there, when you go to the thousandths place. So we want to take 0.125 and read it mathematically correct. So we're going to say all that together as one number, 125. So we can say 0 and 125. I'm going to have to drop down a little bit here. Thousandths. Why do I say the word thousandths? Because it goes 1, 2, 3 places. There's 3 places behind the decimal, and it ends in the thousandths place. It never is where the decimal begins because they would always begin in the tenths place. You read it as what's the last digit and what place value is the last digit in. So this one's a little bit different. Check this out. This says thousandths. So that tells me then that my denominator is going to be 1,000. Okay? So I would have to put 125 above it. Big number here. This is a big number here. So I'm going to take a look at this and I'm going to say, all right, in order to do this, I know that I can divide these by 25. I'm going to start with 25. I could start with 5 because they both end in a 5 and a 0, but let's make it easy and start with 25. Divide by 25. So 125 divided by 25 is 5 because that's like the same as 5 quarters. Now I got to take 1,000 divided by 25. So how many quarters would it take to make $10? So let's kind of think about that for a second here. I know that 4 quarters makes every dollar, right? So 4 times 10, well, that'd be 40. We'd say 4 times 10 is 40. So it would be 40 quarters makes $10. I can still divide again because it ends in a 5 and a 0. There's a 5. That ends in a 0. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 40 divided by 5 is 8. So the fraction then is 1/8. I go up and double check. Do I have a whole number? Nope, it's a 0. So it would be 1/8. It's pretty simple. Okay? And I would highly suggest that you maybe take a look and use your calculators or things like that in order to help you simplify, because like this one gives you pretty big numbers to work with. To summarize, remember, number 1, read the decimal out loud to know what to use for the denominator. 2, write the fraction using the decimal digits as the numerator. And then finally, simplify it if you can. Sometimes you might not have to simplify it, and that's always a good thing. All right, hopefully this works out for you guys, and we'll see you guys later.